Hi and welcome. Hey, do you remember the little song from Sesame Street? Everybody, everybody sleeps.
Because everybody sleeps.
And it's true, everybody does need to sleep. And as humans, we like to curl up with a blanket or a quilt or something like that. Today, it's easy for us to just go to Walmart and buy a quilt or a blanket as we need one. But 200 years ago, not quite the same.
It was not that easy. So, what did they do? Well, 200 years ago, they made something called a coverlet. Now, what's a coverlet, you say? We're so glad you asked. We are right now in Bedford, Pennsylvania, and we have come to the National Museum of the American Coverlet. So let's go on in and we'll find out what they did. We are in the National Museum of the American Coverlet, and this is an extraordinary museum. Now, we know that filming museums can sometimes be challenging, but bear with us because this is really, really different, and we hope that you'll enjoy seeing some of these beautiful works of art that are in here. Essentially, a coverlet is a woven blanket that's reversible. So it can be used on either side. It looks mostly the same on one side as it does the other. Opposites, kind of. And it would be woven on a loom. But look at that beautiful pattern up there. Take a look at this one over here. Wow. This is beautiful.
Two harness.
Yep. This is and they also began making what they call figured and fancy, which are weaving with flowers and animals, and there's some trees. Over here in this one, there's birds, and they put words. This one has the name of Helen Van Horn, September 4th, 1833. And this would not be the name of the person who made it. This would be the name of the person who would have been the recipient of this coverlet. Figure is by David D. Herring for Helen Van Horn. It's a double weave coverlet. It's really beautiful. And then we see them get from just the blue and white over to some colors. And then this is another blue and white one. This is a walking wheel, spinning wheel. I have spun on one like this. They're not easy in my opinion. I don't love them, but it's kind of interesting. This one, geometric coverlet dated, wow, 1771. This one is very old. Very cool. This is beautiful. Wow. Works of art. Let's go in here. Oh, now I can really see some. These are some amazing spinning wheels. Take a look at this. Wow. This is a pendulum wheel. I have never seen it. A wool wheel designed to allow the spinner to sit while spinning. That's a flax distaff up there. skein liner. Whoa, check this out. That is a moving spindle spinning wheel. So I guess you spin the wheel over here like this, and that will move this along. Gorgeous. Let's see what 1837, the top one. Wow, and then this one is also 1837. That one is just really beautiful. Oh my goodness.
See, this is the amount of space they have.
Oh,
And so they had two sets of letters, big and little, that they could do from the machine, right?
Yeah.
And so
That's
and
what.
then up here you can see
Oh yeah.
another place to do it is you put it on the next
Harriet
line.
Carter. Yeah. B. French Weaver in Clinton. Huh. The lions on it. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I've seen this line twice, 3 times now.
Oh, okay.
And there's a fourth one.
Hannah Good Enough. Yeah. So this is obviously, this lion then obviously is a pattern that was shared
Yeah.
and used multiple times. So this is, I think this is 2 halves. So they would have to stitch this together to make an entire coverlet. So it either wasn't finished or deliberately done this way. I'm not sure, but look how beautiful that is. This is not an easy thing to do, to match a design. So it looks like this is a children's area in here, or at least set up like a bedroom. This beautiful coverlet on. Now, we mentioned in the introduction that these are essentially blankets, right? They didn't have to, they had to make it. They couldn't go to Walmart. There was no such thing as Walmart. But they didn't have to make them as beautiful as they did. They could have just woven plain weave and accomplished the exact same thing. But we have an inherent need to create and make things beautiful. And these are prime examples of how men and women over the years, centuries, want to make things beautiful that they use on a daily basis. And these are no exception. Things of absolute beauty. But they didn't have to do, but they did. We would do well to remember that. It's okay to create. Do create, in fact. It's a good thing. And here's another example of a barn loom. This one doesn't have anything on it. Oh, look, here's the cards, the pattern cards. Oh, that's cool. But yeah, this is how they made these patterns with cards. Okay, so Derek's been he spent his whole professional life in computers. You can see that in our intro video. And we are old enough to remember when he was first at BYU, like a billion years ago, there was a room at BYU that was all devoted to one big old IBM machine, and it used punch cards. And when we first saw these, that is immediately what we thought of, is the punch cards for the computer. Essentially, this was a kind of computer invented in the late 1700s. And that's a really cool thing to think about. Back here, of course, are more beautiful figured and fancy coverlets. I've done quilts for so many years in my of my life that I keep calling them quilts, but these are not quilts. All the attention to detail is incredible. This one even says, Mary Leathers Fancy Coverlet woven by Heilbronn, Lancaster, 1847. Very cool.
So do you understand what this is? This went on top of the loom.
Okay. How would you explain it to us?
Well, I'm not sure I understand it completely.
This is a jacquard, what they call a jacquard head.
So those cards would go into it.
Okay.
And then you see these strings down here?
Uh-huh.
Those would be used to lift various threads
Okay.
on the loom
Okay.
to get the pattern, because
Okay.
you'd have to lift different threads one after another. So this would read those cards and lift a set of threads. And you see
How would they lift it? Do they have to use a crank or a handle or
yeah,
something?
they use some kind of a crank. You see how here's the cards going around.
Oh, yeah.
And the weaver, I probably cranks there with something to cause the machine to turn, and so he weaves one row, cranks the machine, weaves another row, cranks the machine.
Wow.
And you can see how
It makes me think of a player piano.
it's so there's multiple rows of things here, and so those would get spread out then across the whole width
It's really hard to see those.
of the item. So that, because you see how they all are together here, and then they get spread out across the whole width of the weaving.
Wow. Process invented in the late 1700s and attributed mostly to a man named Jacquard. So you've probably heard of Jacquard cloth. Well, that's where it came from. Let's see what else is in here. This one looks 1854. Red, white, and blue. Probably from Maryland. That's what it says on there. Another spinning wheel. This one's beautiful. Wow. 1853. Red, dark blue, light blue, and white double weave coverlet. Made in.
See the double
Yep.
spot right
So-
in the middle there.
Cool. Let's see what's in here. Ooh, we have looms. Another beautiful red and white. Skein winders, another walking wheel. Lots of skein winders. Beautiful blue and white quilt again. Beautiful blue and white coverlet. Wow, that's gorgeous. And there's this beautiful loom. Wow. This one is a 4-harness. Lovely. And over here, this is a curvilinear. This beautiful coverlet is a pattern that, in theory, if I work at it, I could make on my own loom. These are more likely to have been made by homemakers who had looms, and not by the professional weavers that made the figures in fancy looms. These are patterns, threading and treadle patterns. Wow, very cool. So it's kind of hard to see, but essentially what these tell the weaver is how to how to thread her loom, and then it tells you in another space how to treadle it so that you get the pattern that you're after, which is very cool. Oh, more. Oh, wow. This is clearly the Loom Room. Oh, look, there's more of these cards.
Whoa, that is one giant.
Oh my gosh, what a warping board that is. Holy smokes. You can. Well, they had 30 yards would be on some, so. Wow. Oh my goodness gracious. As cool as these looms are, I wouldn't trade my Dorsets or Shacked. I wouldn't trade the modern looms for these, but it's really amazing and astounding the kinds of things that they were able to produce on these older looms that are a little bit more challenging to weave on, but still, obviously, as you can see, they did amazing things with them. At our home, we have a number of things that were from Derek's family. Skein minder we have. I have three of his mother's looms. And we have a number of other things along that line. And so it's kind of cool to see sort of the same style of the things that we have at home, which is pretty cool. This, I think, is a picture of Monsieur Jacquard, who is the inventor of, mostly at least, he patented it, I suppose. This Jacquard system uses the cards. Wow, that was quite an exhibit, isn't it?
Yes.
It's really
amazing.
Really amazing. Now, this is the only museum of its kind in the country. They have the largest collection. They have many more coverlets than what are displayed in here. They change their exhibit every
year.
May or June of every year. And this year they'll be changing it in June because they've got some groups and things like that coming. They're open every day, 10 to 5. That's Monday through Saturday. On Sunday, they're open from 12 to 4, and it's $10 per person. And of course, you're always welcome to give them a little bit of a donation. The museum is run by Melinda and Laszlo Zonger, both retired antique dealers. It's a place we highly recommend that you go. So we had a wonderful time at the Coverlet Museum. Melinda and Laszlo are absolutely characters, and just such great compassion about their coverlets, and they really like to share that and like to educate people about them. And it's truly really worth a stop if you're in Bedford, Pennsylvania. This is a great place, I think, if you're going to be in this area where there's a lot of history and a lot of really cool stuff. This is a very cool area, Bedford, Pennsylvania, and it's about 3.5 hours from Cleveland. Not that far from Washington, D.C. and Boston,
Real close to Pittsburgh.
Real close to Pittsburgh. And so yeah, really cool spot. Totally recommend it. It's definitely someplace that we would come back to once we're back in our travel mode. But in the meantime, we thought we'd give this a try and show it to you. And so this is a thumbs up. And yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And if you like the video, give us a thumbs up and ring the bell to get notified.
You bet. And until next time, Restless Friends, you take care.